Friends, welcome back. I am Jason, doing a little trail maintenance today, and I'm going to be going up to my deer blind, otherwise known as the kids' treehouse, to clean it up a little bit, sweep it out, and get it ready for the upcoming deer season, which is always exciting. Who doesn't like to eat a little venison? You know what I mean? Now, I try to keep this trail fairly well maintained and cleared for a lot of reasons. One, when I'm riding my motorcycle through here, it's nice to not get branches in the eye, preferably. And then also, when I'm walking up here in the darkness, it's nice to not trip over things and fall down. And also, it makes it much, much quieter if you can get the branches and debris and stuff out of the way. The stuff that makes, a little bit of leaf crunching, not that big a deal, but it's like this sound. That travels a long way, and the deer can get spooked, A deer that's a couple hundred yards that way, in that direction right there, can get spooked. And while it may have been heading towards your deer stand, your deer blind, it no longer will be doing that. It'll be high-tailing it, so to speak, literally, in the case of whitetail, and it'll be on its way to happier, safer feeding grounds. And stuff like this, while it's fine right now, eventually is going to come tumbling down across the trail and be a barrier to entry. And now, to some degree, like riding on a motorcycle, I like some challenges that come along the path, which is good. Going over little logs and obstacles and stuff, not that big a deal. But I don't want that to fall on anybody while they're walking on the trail either. This one right here, every time I come riding by, my knee just about catches that one right there. And that would be a lame way to end the day right there. So let's get rid of that. There she is. Now I'm all about, hunting on the ground, spot and stalking, that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy the challenge, the thrill, the difficulty that comes along with that kind of hunting. But I also enjoy getting up at, 5 o'clock in the morning, being up here at 5:10 in the morning, and the convenience of shooting a deer 200 yards from where I'll be cleaning it at the house and putting it in the freezer. 200 yards from the freezer. So I can appreciate the proximity, the closeness. I haven't been up here since last season, really. My son pinned up these tarps last year. Normally I've just got this kind of camo burlap kind of hung up in various places, strategic locations, so I can still see without being seen. And my son came and put these tarps up there. He was camping out up here, and I guess he, did it to block the wind. It was kind of cold. So, maybe I'll just cut some holes in that so I can still see out, but keep the bottom part. I think that's probably what I'll end up doing. We've got a hole. So now I can see, if I'm parked right here, in my chair or whatever, I can see the deer coming from this direction I could see the deer coming from this direction and them using the primary game trail that's right up here above the treehouse right there. And that is where most of my shots have been taken, is right through here, that little window right there, and right there, that little window right there. None of them are far shots. And 50 yards, probably at most, is the furthest I've ever shot here. You just can't see much further than that. And I took one buck, one really good sized buck right there in front of that tree. Crazy story. I was sitting up here in the morning, and I was just about to pack up camp, or pack up my gear and head back to the house and get my day started. I was just hunting in the morning for a couple hours, and then I hear chuk chuk chuk, and this buck is coming down, and I spot him, and he's coming right there, right that way. And so I ease over, I turn myself really slow, and I get set up, and I'm lined up, and I'm just waiting. And he's got his body positioned such that there's a tree in front of all his vitals, in front of the kill zone. But every now and then he just pops his head up, but he stays in this one spot, kind of digging and pawing the ground, and he just won't move, and I know if he takes off from there, I'm not going to have another clean shot because of all of this greenery right here, and I don't want to shoot that direction because the house is that way too. So this is really my only clear spot. So he's got his body hidden behind that tree right there, but he's just popping his head up out from behind there. And I'm like, okay, buddy. So eventually I lose patience, and I said, as soon as your head pops up, I'm gonna squeeze one off. And so I did. I squeezed one off, and he runs off. And I think to myself, no, it's 20 yards, 25 yards maybe. I don't know, might be 30. Anyway, how did I miss this shot? There's no way. I'm not the most amazing marksman in the world, but I'm pretty good, and I shouldn't have missed that. Anyway, so I give up. I'm frustrated. I go home, and then later that evening, I come back out, and I'm gonna set up, for an evening hunt, just another hour or so. I'm gonna hunt. So I sit in here, and then it's just about to get dark, and I'm like, crap, I'm about out of time. Then I hear chuk, 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 same thing, but it's another buck, and same spot though. He's coming back to that same spot, and I think, okay, here we go. And before he gets to behind the cover behind that tree, I just go ahead and squeeze one off. I go, man, like that. I give a little bleat call, and he stops and looks my direction, and I let him have it right behind the shoulder, the typical spot that I normally shoot. And just plop, just drops, doesn't move at all. So I go get him, I drag him down to the house, pull him down to the house, I get him strung up, hanging up, and I'm starting to work on him. And as I get to his head, I see a hole in his ear and a scalped, smooth spot. Didn't touch the skin, but completely bald, like as if you took a razor, a shaved little strip across top of his head. That's that deer that I shot him. I guess I hit him. Didn't miss. I hit him that morning, and he came back to exactly that same spot. And if I'd have shot it half an inch lower, it would have been it. Headshot would have been no problem at all. But he came back, and I got him, put him in the freezer. I pierced his ear, and then got him later. And some of you watching may think that that's cruel. You're killing an innocent being that's out here roaming the woods happy and free. And yeah, perhaps, but I really honestly believe that we are part of the food chain. It's my personal belief that we are here on this planet, on this rock, the third rock from the sun, to manage, to maintain, to keep the wildlife happy and prosperous, and to keep our forests happy and growing and wild, and we need to do a good job of that. We need to do a better job of that. But hunting is part of that process. If you don't hunt, we've done a bad job in a lot of ways. We've eliminated a lot of the predators around here, so the deer don't really have any natural predators anymore. There's some coyotes that will take a small fawn or something perhaps, and there's the occasional mountain lion spotting around here, not very many. But it's very limited, and it's not even close to enough to manage that deer population. And when the population gets too high, disease starts to spread, there's not enough food to go around, and then, all the problems that come along with that. So us We are part of the food chain. We are part of nature. It's not us and nature. We are all part of it. We are part of that process, part of that ecosystem. And to me, it's really important to kind of thin that herd out a little bit and do my part to do that job, because we have a ton of deer around here. So, I mean, dead deer on the road every day. Every day you drive down the road, dead deer. Another car hit a deer. It's all the time. It's constant. And there's just a really large population of them. So they need to be thinned out from time to time. And they're tasty. I like to eat deer. I like to eat venison. Venison backstrap steaks, man, it's hard to beat that. It's one of my favorite things to eat. So, and I think it's a good idea just in general to be able to know how to provide food for your family, to be able to take a wild animal and convert it into food. And I think most people, including a lot of you watching, probably have never experienced that. And to me, that's unfortunate. And you need to get out there and get your hands bloody. You need to get your hands dirty and experience that, so you know where your food comes from and what it's like. And those of you that have done it, you can relate. You know what I'm talking about. You generally take 1 to 2 deer every year. Sometimes I get skunked. A couple years ago I didn't get anything, and but this year I'll make sure I fill that freezer up with some kind of meat. That's for sure. But this is where I get the job done most of the time. I go to some more remote places and do some stalk and walk kind of hunting, and I like that. I really enjoy that, actually. But it's so much more time consuming. It takes a lot of time, and if you're after meat, if that's your goal, this is a much more fruitful process right here. If you haven't already hit the thumbs up and subscribe, please consider doing so, because I put out content every week, multiple videos every single week, full length videos and shorts all the time. I'm coming up with great ideas. Of course they're great ideas, they're my ideas. I showcase all sorts of different things, adventures and skills, and I know you guys will enjoy that trip coming along with me. This machete that I've been using to clear trail is my customized On3 Tremattina. And if you want one of these, I've got 13 left. So go to goon3.com. The link will be in the description in the comment section, and you can pick yourself up a customized Tremattina by yours truly. This road that I live on used to be so quiet. When we first moved in here, I mean, it wasn't ever silent, of course. Cars going by at 55 miles an hour, makes some noise. But I'm 300 yards away from that road, and there wasn't a whole lot of traffic, but that was, nearly 10 years ago. The traffic has picked up, and it drives me crazy. I can't stand it. You probably hear a car in the background now. That's actually on the road closer here, but it interrupts my creative process because it drives me crazy, the sound of cars. Try not to let it bother me, but it does. How often do you just get out and, sit down and sit quietly and reflect, upon life? No particular agenda or, mission to contemplate about, just sitting and just being and letting the thoughts of life just flow, seamlessly in and out. I know I don't do that hardly ever. I need to do it more, because I think it is a pretty healthy thing for us to do, is just sit, talk to God and be at peace. Just sit quietly and listen. When the cars aren't going by, just listen to the wind blow. Listen to the birds chirp. The roosters crow. If I try hard enough, I could probably just block out those distractions completely, But I need to practice it more. I need to come sit up in the woods more. And that's one of the reasons why I look forward to hunting season so much, is because, you are just sitting quietly, patiently waiting, or impatiently waiting, depending on what kind of hunter you are, I guess. Nothing to do but let the time go by and wait, and all those thoughts, like I said before, can just stream freely in and out. And you can have real discussions with God and discuss the important things. You can balance out your life. At least that's what I do, as I try to create those priorities of my life. I try to get the balance of my life back in order when I have those moments of quiet and peace, because with all the distractions, with all the chaos of life that's going on all the time, I mean, you guys get it, it's so easy to forget about what actually matters. Spending time with your parents that live right next door. I don't spend enough time with them. I don't see them enough, and I know inevitably you don't get to keep people forever. There's going to come a time when you got to say goodbye, and so while you've got people, you need to spend the time with them, the quality time. I need to put my wife first. I need to prioritize spending time with her, over just, running the kids around from one soccer practice to a camping trip to a, whatever, youth group, and all the other things that we do, all the other endless amounts of things that fill up our time, our life. You've got to prioritize that stuff, and you've got to figure out what actually matters. Are my priorities in the right place? Because I know from personal experience that when my life is starting to fall apart, when things are crumbling around me and all seems lost, it generally goes back to priorities. It goes back to me not having my priorities in check. I'm not trusting God. I'm not putting my faith in God. I'm not loving my wife the way that I should. I'm not being the dad that I should. I'm putting my time and energy and efforts into things that don't matter. That don't matter nearly as much and as important as this YouTube channel is to me, and my work and the various other things that I do to make a living. Of course, I need to do that stuff. I need to do this stuff to generate income for my family and to be a good provider. But at the end of my life, at the end of my days, when I'm laying there 97 years old, all decrepit and waiting for the end, am I going to look back upon today and be like, you know what? I could have worked a little harder and made more dollars. Or am I going to look back upon my life and say, I could have spent more time with my kids. I could have put more valuable time into, talking to my dad and building stronger relationships with people. These are the things I ponder.